All right, Jonathan, I just got my house under contract and I hear you're a mortgage lender. All I want to know is, what is your rate?
That's a great question, Austin. A lot of borrowers think that there's just one rate they qualify for, but in truth, Austin, there's a range of rates you qualify for, and that's what this video is all about.
All right, so Jonathan, that is one of the most common questions we get
It is.
As lenders is, hey, what's your rate? All I want to know is, what's your rate? And a lot of times, most clients don't realize what you just said, that they qualify for a whole range of interest rates. So break that down. How do I qualify for a range of rates and not just a specific rate?
Yeah, so always based on a client's situation, right? FICO, conventional loan, FHA, all of that stuff. Then we'll see what range of rates they qualify for. And Austin's always had the great analogy. It's like a ladder. And so whenever we lock a loan to that day's pricing, we're checking out Home Depot with that ladder, but there's a lot of rungs on that ladder. And so there's some higher rates with maybe less closing costs, and there's some lower rates with maybe added closing costs. And we got to figure out which one makes sense for your situation.
Yeah, absolutely. And another way to think about it is like a pendulum, where your closing costs and your interest rates are in a pendulum with one another. And so the lower your closing costs are, the higher your interest rate is going to be. And this is with every lender on the planet.
That's right.
And the lower your interest rate is, the higher your closing costs are going to be. And so helping you find that balance is really the question that every lender should be asking. Whether you're working with us or somebody else, you want to make sure that you're not just getting the absolute lowest rate, but paying the highest amount in closing costs. If that's not the best situation for you, it might be. And that's why it's important to look through these options. And so let's break it down, Jonathan.
Yeah. What we're talking about is discount points or paying points or buying out your mortgage. This is a way for you as a buyer to get your interest rate below the market. And we have a screen up with the table showing that this client qualifies for 6.625 all the way down to 5.25. And as you can see,
it's a big range of rates.
Yeah, that is a massive range of rates. But you can see at the points, there's no points for the 6.625. And that's what we call our par interest rate. There's no added fees. There's no added costs. Like, this is your run-of-the-mill rate.
Right.
But because of your situation, we can get you as low as 5.25. But you can see there that there's almost $12,000 of cash that's added to your closing cost. And so we want to make sure that it makes sense for you to actually buy down your interest rate, and that can depend a lot on people's situation. The biggest thing is how long you're going to be in the house, right, Austin?
That's right. And before we jump into how long you're going to be in the house, another important thing, and we're not going into that in this video, but another important thing to keep in mind is that different lenders might have different interest rates that are their quote-unquote par rates, but they could have other fees that they've got baked in there where they're helping basically manipulate where their interest rate is. And so that's something to be cognizant of, is that not all par interest rates are actually
created equal.
Yeah, they're not all created equal, right?
Great way to say
all
that.
men are created equal, not all interest rates are created equal when it comes to what a specific lender's par is. And so it's important to make sure you understand exactly what all fees that lender is also charging in addition to points. But that's a different video for a different time. This video specifically just the concept of points and how they work. And so back to what Jonathan just said, the next thing we want to know is really, how long are you planning on owning this house? So we refer to that as the return on investment, the ROI. How long will you be staying in the house dictates how long it's going to take for you to make your money back and whether or not that makes sense.
Yeah, and the easiest way to explain this to a borrower or a client is, imagine investing money in something. What's the return on that investment? So like you put capital, right? So you're putting extra closing costs. What's the return on that? And the way we look at it, when you pay points, two things happen, Austin. You get a lower interest rate, which means you have a lower monthly payment, and over time you pay less interest. And so we got to take those two things and see what type of savings you get. In this situation, if you move from 6.625% interest rate down to 5.25 interest rate, you're going to save $276 a month in payment plus tons of interest. You could see $99,442 of interest over the life of that loan.
Woo.
And when you calculate, when am I going to get that $12,000 back, right? Because you got to invest that $12,000. I'm going to save $276 a month. I'm going to have a way lower interest rate. What's the return on that investment? When am I going to break even? And the math you see here on the screen is that the break even is 3.7 years. So Austin, as a homeowner, what does that tell me, 3.7?
That means that's that timeline for me where it makes sense for me to pay the discount points. If I'm going to be in this home for 3.7 years or longer, then it's better for me to pay the discount points to get my interest rate as low as I can.
Yeah, so it's a no-brainer at that point. If you're bullish, I'm gonna own this house. And the average first-time home buyer, I think right now, stays in the house between 5 and 8 years. And so if you can get a break-even on points at 3.7 years, that is a smoking good deal.
That's right.
And you should definitely do it. And when you're working with a good lender like Austin and I and our team, we can help find ways for the sellers to pay for it.
That's right.
We got another video on that.
Yes, we do. So, and I think just a general rule of thumb, in case you're wondering what our professional opinion is on points, I think if you can make it back in 5 years or less, then that's really beating what we see as the industry average over time. And so in this situation, this looks like historically what we would consider to be a no-brainer. Now, we've had clients in the past buy a house and know that with certainty they're not going to be in that house longer than 3 years. So if that's you, you're not going to be in the house longer than 3 years, and the break even on the points is 3.7 years, then this would be a terrible thing for you to do. And so it really comes down to case by case and understanding what your vision is for the property, and then of course what kind of extra money we have to work with. One other point we should mention, Jonathan, how much do we make when somebody decides to pay a discount point?
0. So we're 100% commissioned on the loan side. So whether you're paying points or other complicated things like upfront MI or lower rates, it does not change how we get paid. We're fiduciaries. We're trying to help you get the best loan structure based on your goals with your house.
That's exactly right. So I think a lot of clients assume that, oh, my lender's trying to get me to pay points so they can make more money. That's just not the case. We have another video where we walk through why points exist. So this is how they work and whether or not you should do it. If you're curious about why points exist just in general, then go check out that video and we break it down for you there.
Yep. So guys, we want to help determine what your situation is, and this is a tool to help you get a below market interest rate, but always make sure it makes sense for you to financially do so. And Austin and I always say, we're here to make mortgage simple.
That's right. We'll see you guys around.
Adios.